I used to use alcohol to
Mhm.
kind of regulate my mood. And 4 years out, I don't have that anymore. So I guess the alcohol finally all got out of my body really around 2023. And so now we're trying to figure out, what does normal look like?
Mm.
What is my actual personality? And
Mm.
that's been the kicker. It's, what am I really like? Because
Mm.
for so long, I had big emotions. Well, that's just Emily. She has big emotions. But no, turns out Emily had big emotions for a completely different reason.
Mm.
So who is Emily? Is she kind? I hope so. Is
Mhm.
she, who am I? And that has been an interesting journey so far.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be a rediscovery process or like a
Almost definitely.
discovery. I have big emotions too, and I think I definitely used to numb them or they scared me. Now I see them as a gift or like the tenderness as a gift,
Right.
and like some I obviously favor over the other ones when I'm like
Yeah.
big joy.
Yeah, joy is good, big sadness is not good. So it's like,
What did you say? I missed it.
big joy is good, big sadness not so good. So it's like how do we make it to where they are at an equilibrium? Because
Mm.
you have to, because if you're too happy all the time, that could be a problem, and if you're too sad
Mm.
all the time, that is also a problem. So it's like, where is the middle of this? Like, you know, who is Emily? And it's like you said, a self discovery process. And I think I turned 37 this year. I don't really know. I'm not very good at math,
We do.
but we turned 37 this year.
We do.
Okay. 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 So it's like at 37, in my late 30s, now that I'm not drinking all the time and I'm, a working professional and a mom of two and a wife, like, who am I actually? And that
Mhm.
has been a very interesting journey, to say the least. Still
Yeah.
on it, and I don't think I'm ever going to get off the who am I train.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, it can be like as, philosophical, existential as you want. Sometimes I'm like, who am I? Am I
Why am
Kristen?
I?
Or am I the deep seated awareness underneath this, observing my thoughts and actions and emotions? I've been leaning
Right.
into like, even though I don't really like the sadness or the anger, as much as I do like the joy or, higher elevated states, I've been leaning into like just seeing it as a sacred too. It's like I feel like I came in to have this human experience and the full range of that is the anger, is the sadness. There's divinity within that too, or like a pearl that I can find. However, there, like, it's kind of like a delicate balance for me anyway, as far as, okay, I'm seeing that I am self-isolating here. How can I reincorporate some things that, get some more movement and
Right.
motion, like, or how can I best support myself or nourish myself in this moment? And like maybe that's movement or going outside or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
have to stay there. Yeah.
Because I could be very comfortable staying in the, I call it the sad garden, where it's like little pansy that's like "Burr, burr, burr." Like, I could live there. I could live there and never come out, but that's not fair to my kids. It's not fair to my
Mm.
husband, and it's not fair to me either.
Mhm.
So, like you said, you have to get outside and move. You have to. You're in bed, but you're still working, but you have to get out of bed, you have to work, you have to go to workout class and be around people, because
Mhm.
people like myself, it's just really easy to stay in the sad garden, so to speak.
Yeah, I think we have to reset our emotional or our base point or our baseline. Or like what is familiar to our nervous system. Well, if or sadness is familiar or chaos, like I know a lot of some of my friends, and I know in my past I have totally like thrived in chaotic environments
Oh
or
yeah.
attracted like really chaotic experiences. Well, that's because I feel like they're, growing up and, yelling or arguing and or like chaotic environments. That's what I was used to. That's what in some ways felt safe,
Oh yeah.
even though like I would much prefer the peaceful
Well, you
alternative.
you go after what you know, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I grew up in a house where there was yelling, and
Mm.
there was, My dad used to give this speech, and if he ever listens to this, which I highly doubt he will. I don't know, Dad, if you're listening. Hi. He used to give us this speech about the haves and the have-nots. And
Mm.
the have-nots made 85s on their spelling tests, and they never got into college. So I have like really tried to not pass that on to my oldest, even though
Mm.
he is incredibly smart. We live in Katy, which is a Houston suburb, and he figured out how to get around the Katy ISD firewall to watch YouTube
Wow.
videos. I know. I'm like, girl, I live in like probably the, if not the best, like second best school district in the state. Like Katy
Mhm.
ISD is famous for its schools. And he figured out that if he put a YouTube embedded link in Google Docs, he could watch any YouTube video he wanted and get around the firewall. Yeah, and
Wow.
he's 9. So it kills me when he comes home with an 85 on something, and
Mhm.
I email his teacher. I'm like, "What happened here?" He just didn't read all the questions. He wanted to get done so he could read. Like, "You little nerd." Like, "You nerd, like, you could have made 100 on this science project. You just decided just to, like, circle random things, and you still guessed and read half the question and made an 85." A part of me is a little proud, but, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
you can do better." It's trying, to go back, is try not to put
Mm.
those things that we experienced as kids on
For
my
sure.
kids. And I've actually noticed, I've been a little edgy recently and maybe have screamed "stop it" a little too often at my kids, because they're 9 and 3, and they poke at each other all the time because the 3-year-old thinks he's 9 too. And I was just, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." And all of a sudden both of my boys, Brody and Brady, just started yelling "stop it" at each other.
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm setting such a bad parent example, but at least I'm not telling them they're going to be homeless if they make an 85 on their spelling test." Like, like, okay, but it's funny how our kids are sometimes a reflection of ourselves, and
Oh, for
sometimes
sure. I
sometimes
mean,
that's a good
shoot,
reflection.
I see my dog as a reflection of
Oh yeah.
myself. I think the kids
Oh
totally
yeah.
are. Like, I mean, it's a yeah, that's I could see how
Well,
that's a challenging.
I don't know about your dog, but if I have anybody new coming in the house, my dog, he's 13 years old now, or he's about to be 14. I don't know, he's old. But anyway, if there's somebody new coming in the house and I'm a little apprehensive, he goes
Mm.
into full little dog attack mode. He's a miniature schnauzer. He only
Oh.
weighs 15 pounds, but he's going to grab a hold of that person's like shoe, and they're not going to go anywhere,
Yeah, no, we
you know?
just had I mean, it scared me, like, it literally I'm like, it really did. So my neighbor next door has a big dog, ferocious bark, and Boudreaux is so small that he can crawl underneath the gate, and he's adorable, but sometimes he thinks he's that dog size.
Oh yeah,
And he's like 5.5 months, so he's still learning, and I've been training, but I wanna get, like, an extended training with, like, a professional
a real
because
trainer.
I'm
Yeah.
like, he has a mind of his own, kinda like me, but also we were outside, and I was, like, throwing something, and then my neighbor said that, "Don't worry, my dog is friendly." And so I let Boudreaux run and go say hi. He's been going to daycare and being socialized, and, I'm
Right.
taking some steps. But then the next thing I know, I guess like Boudreaux had like maybe a little stance. And then the next thing I know that he's on his back and the big dog has him in his mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to get punctured. And then I'm like rushing over to try and separate them. And then he's coming over and he's like, oh my God, my dog's never done this. I'm so sorry. And so we had like, I was like, took Boudreaux inside and he was like shivering and shaking. He was like, oh my God.
Like,
And I don't
I
know.
just saw your life flash before my
Yeah, I
eyes.
did. It had like did I have the mom moment of flipping the truck over
Oh
because I
yeah.
didn't even think about getting bit by a dog. I was just like,
Oh
save
yeah.
Joel.
Save the dog. Oh yeah.
Save the
No,
dog.
that is
Yeah.
what happens, especially when you have a new little puppy.
Mhm.
You gotta, yeah, I have those moments all the time, and my dog is he's 13 years old.
Yeah, no,
And
I mean, it's been interesting. I've noticed, and we mentioned mirror too, and I noticed that if I feel frazzled, like that little shithead is gonna be running all over and like biting things. But I remember I consciously like went to take a bath one time, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna reset my energy, and I'm stepping out of this tub, grounded and just like in a more calm, energetic state. He he reflected that to me. Like he just snuggled up next to me. I was sitting like kind of in front of the couch and he just like was so chill. I was like, oh my God, that he is my mirror.
Yeah.
All that to say though, too, that I think that your son, like that shows some ingenuity and cleverness to
Oh,
get
yeah.
around the rules. Cause there's a part of me that is totally a rebel. I'm like, go.
Oh, yeah.
But also at the same
Same.
time, I understand. I just wrote a little piece about how I thought that I had to earn my love or my parents' pride because I got rewarded for the good grades and that sort of thing. And then like, you know, believe that stories can transcend time because my dad died in 2013, but I have this little booklet that he gave me. And even though he did reward me for the grades and like encourage that, one of the questions in there was like, what's the most proud or what's the moment in life that made you the most proud? And it said, that would be the moment that you and your brother were born. I was like, I
Oh,
had this like crying, laughing moment of, oh my
yeah.
God, I've been working for something my entire life and I've had it since birth.
And you didn't need to earn it. Like it was already
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, but I don't know how I would even begin to pair it.
Oh,
That just seems like such a big
it's just
ask.
something you learn on the go, honestly, because we didn't I know we were in the think the same home ec class, but they didn't teach it. They
Were
taught us how
we?
to yeah, Miss
Okay.
Ford.
Yeah. I did not. What I remember about home ec is what do you remember about home ec?
I remember do you remember Lindsay Boykin?
Oh my God. Yeah. Lindsay and I still talk to
Okay.
this day.
So we were talking about hair, like shampoo and conditioner, and Lindsay was very adamant that you had to condition your hair every day. And
Mm.
then Miss Roach was like, "No, you don't." And she was like, "Yes, you do." So for some reason, I remember that vividly. I don't know why, but like we watched these videos in that class that were very dated. They were from easily the late 80s. I mean, and I remember that, and I remember we attempted to cook, and
See, that's
like
what I remember.
it was very questionable. It was highly questionable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember that because the recipe that I was making said stir by hand. And so I was in there like with my fingers, like stirring something by
Oh,
hand. And I guess Miss Roach came over and she's like, Kristen, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm stirring by hand. She's like, "But knit
head.
with a spoon." And I'm like, oh,
Oh.
yeah,
Well,
about this. I don't
we
even
were
know really why I'm in this home ec class.
we were like 14, 15. Like, well, it was either that or you had to take ag, and I didn't wanna take ag, you know?
Okay. I probably should have taken ag. Now, looking back, I could have had some really cool like woodworking or skills in my tool belt or, it would have been, I don't know.
That was before, like, having your own kitchen chicken coop was cool. Like, we were about 20 years late on that trend.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, but all those if you think about it now, all those kids that showed chickens and things when we were in high school, like, they know how to build a chicken coop. They could probably, like, make money doing that
I mean,
as
especially with
adults.
egg prices these days, man.
Oh
I went to the
gosh,
grocery
girl.
store the other morning and I mean, a lot of times, like I order my groceries or just out of convenience. And I'm like, okay, what's my burn rate? Is it more efficient for me to spend my time and energy to go to the grocery store or just order it? And obviously, I like pleasure and comfort as I'm in bed recording this. But
Exactly.
I went, I was like, $7 for the organic,
Oh, the
farm,
fancy
whatever.
organic brown eggs
Vital
or whatever.
Farms. Yeah. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the? I was like, $7 for some.
I know, it's like I could buy 7 energy drinks because, like, actually, you could probably buy 3. You could buy 3 Alani Nus for the price of this carton of eggs.
I'm
Like,
like,
it doesn't make any sense.
dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in
Okay.
my boy sorry.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just
Yeah.
want to say, I'm like, I don't want to skip over your story. I was like, I feel like I could talk to
Oh, yeah.
you about anything for a long time, but I want to definitely like hone in on like your story or your arc of transformation about the alcohol and
Oh,
how it
yeah.
was maybe a suppressant of emotions or rediscovering your personality or who you are today without that, because it totally is like a social lubricant and it's
Mhm.
so embedded in our culture. To me, that raises a flag. It's like, if it's so promoted, like, why does big government, why do they want you numbed out? Or why do they want you
Right.
not in touch with yourself or your power, or your emotions, or that sort of thing? I kind of like go into like a little
Oh, yeah.
conspiracy.
I go and I wear the whole tin hat when I, like, think about it, because next time you go to the grocery store and you pick up a bottle of, Pinot Grigio, there will be no ingredients listed on that label. It's just, "Look at this pretty label, it's wine." Like there's no ingredients listed.
True.
So you have no real idea what you're putting in your body.
That's true. And it's not just grapes.
No, no, there's other things in there. There's,
Mhm.
sulfates and I don't know. I bet there's some red dye 40 in there, that all the kids are allergic to now.
Yeah.
Like, I bet that's in there. So
Wow.
you can't, don't trust them.